afternoon and welcome to What's Up Kansas City. Today we have a very distinguished guest here on Vine Street at the BEU building, Harry S Campbell, who has just written a great book on leadership. Harry, welcome to What's Up Kansas City.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Harry, why don't you tell us a little bit about Harry Campbell?
Well, I'm a Hoosier. I spent a lot of time in Indiana and love basketball, love all sports, particularly basketball. I moved to Kansas City in 1992 to work for Sprint. I'd previously been with Procter & Gamble. I've been here over 21 years and I don't intend to leave. I love the city. I've had the opportunity to work at several different companies here, including Sprint and Embark, but also some small businesses. And what I also have a passion for doing is talking about, speaking, and mentoring people with regard to leadership.
Leadership, okay. Let's get right into this subject about leadership.
Sure. The book I wrote, Get Real Leadership, has two premises, and these are really the way I drive a lot of things in my life with regard to how to be successful. The first one is anybody can be a leader. Doesn't matter what your job is, the number of people that work for you, the amount of budget you have, or the position you're in. Leadership is about influence and impact. If you are a sole proprietor, you can be a leader. I am absolutely convinced of that. So that's one of the premises of my book. Anybody can be a leader. Number two is that you do not have to sacrifice. Relationship, respect, and results can all be had. You can be a nice person, you can be well respected, you can have people want to follow you, and you can still be wildly successful. You do not have to be driven and overly harsh to people. You do not have to make that trade-off. And I think it's critically important that people understand that you can be successful and still be nice.
That's good. I like that. You know what, do you think that we're still managing in the industrial age, with the industrial age mentality in the years of the computer and digital era?
I'd say the answer to that is some are. The ones that are, folks that are, whether it's a culture or a company or a person, are not being particularly effective because things have changed so dramatically with the workforces, the tools we have, that you can't manage like you're in the industrial age. It's just not possible to be successful in the medium and long term. Maybe in the short term, but not beyond that. So I think, yes, we are somewhat. People are changing. It's a reason why startups are successful. That's the reason why Silicon Valley is winning, because they don't operate that way. I guarantee it.
You know, you talked a lot in your book about competing. Let's talk about competing.
Being a huge sports fan, I love competitors. When I have been looking for folks to hire in my organization, I look for people that have competed and succeeded. And I'll tell you why. Particularly competed at the highest level. Because if you compete, that means you've won and you've lost, you've sweated, you've prepared, you've had to learn how to be a good winner and a good loser. You might have cried, you might have been beaten, you might have won, it doesn't matter. I love people that have done that because that's the way business is going to treat you. And if you've already had those modeling experiences, you're, I think, much more likely to be successful.
You know, recently I read in Inc. about this guy that started this company called Fat Ass Fans. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not, no.
Fat Ass Fans, that's a hell of a name. They're out of Kentucky.
Okay.
And they have taken industrial fans for home use.
Wow.
Yeah, and he has a culture that's similar to like what we're talking about. He said he loves people that are liberal arts degrees. He's, you know, basically fans would be engineering type.
Yes.
But he likes the liberal arts degree people because he said they're spontaneous. Talk a little bit about that.
You are near and dear to my heart. I'm a history major from college. East Asian history.
Okay.
Studied Pearl Harbor and World War II. Here's what I think about liberal arts, and I'm going to be a little biased here. I think liberal arts people are hungry to learn. I think they're curious. I think they're more likely to be able to apply thinking and problem solving from A to B to C instead of being caught in a rut. And since I am one, I can say this, right?
Right.
I love finding people like that because then they can translate those principles and those skills in order to be successful in a business.
I'm that kind of guy.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah. I was a sociology and criminal justice major. But you know what they say? Creativity is the motherlode of success.
Yes.
And this guy at Fat Ass Fans, he said that that he feels the same way. He likes people that are curious, and when you have one focus of a mindset of education, you stay in one lane.
Yes.
In other ways, he likes people to get out of the lane a little bit, get a ticket.
I love that. When I've had a couple of the jobs in the past, I've had people that directly report to me, and someone who's in marketing who's willing to think about the sales or the service job and provide ideas and potentially maybe even come up with ways to do other people's jobs better. I love that. Now, you have to have the environment that the person receiving the information doesn't feel threatened by that. But if you do, then you've got crazy, creative, winning ideas flowing around.
Creativity is the motherlode of success. How you like that?
I think it's fantastic.
All right then. Listen, let's talk about your experience with Walton at Walmart.
I was working at Procter & Gamble, and I was given the opportunity to move down to Northwest Arkansas, move my family down to Bentonville and Fayetteville, live there, and be a part of founding the first ever Procter & Gamble Walmart customer team.
Really?
I decided to go down there. I said yes. Didn't know what I was getting into. The experience was extraordinary. I lived in Fayetteville and near Bentonville for 2.5 years. Most of the time I was down there, Sam Walton was still running the company, and I got a chance to be around him. I was a young punk, 4 years out of school, so I wasn't one of the decision makers. He was the richest man in the world, and I watched him operate while I was in meetings. I would be in the back, or I'd be over here in the corner, and I will tell you, the nicest man I've ever seen. He was driven, he was competitive, and he wanted to win, but he treated people with respect, and his organization loved him and believed in him. And he helped shape how I would operate for the next 20 years by how he operated. It was a phenomenal experience.
High point. High point of that experience.
Hearing his explanation of two different things, I'm going to give you two answers. I'm going to cheat. Two high points.
I
First
like
of all, the one that really sounds minor, but it changed a lot of things for me, is management by walking around. Sam called it MBWA. He believed that if you were going to be a leader, you needed to help people in your organization to be better, not expect them to deliver to you. So he would wander around in headquarters. He would ask people how he could help, because he believed it was his responsibility to help the organization function effectively and not vice versa. I love that.
I do too.
And the other one is servant leadership. He believed in it, he talked about it, and he emphasized it. He believed if you worked at Walmart and you were a leader, your job was to make people that work for you make their job easier. If you got it wrong and you act like a prima donna,
right,
or some highfalutin executive,
right.
You were not going to be around.
Right.
He wanted people that helped win with customers and win with employees, because customers and employees were way more important than executives to him. I love that. Those are my two high points.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, sometimes that's back to that industrial age mentality.
Yes, actually.
Do as I say. You do good, you get a carrot. You do bad, you get the stick.
Yes.
Stephen Covey.
It is. And what's interesting is a lot of the industrial age philosophies come from the military.
That's right.
Right? It's the same thing. You have fairly rigid chains of command and communication and order following, and a lot of companies were founded on those principles because that was the best way to make things happen in the industrial age or in the military.
Right.
What we have is a much more fluid organization, and we have employees that want to be curious, help in areas that aren't their own, and they want more flexibility in time and thinking and creativity. If you don't foster that, they won't stay.
They won't stay. And they won't stay engaged.
No.
You know, you remind me a lot with Stephen Covey, because, you know, they say we are mind, body, soul, and spirit. So there's a voice. There's a voice in a person. And that person wants to say something. Yeah. Creativity, talk about kids, family, or maybe talk about how to move a product to another position.
Wow.
By nature, I'm in the multi-level marketing industry. That's what I do. You asked me that earlier.
Yes.
And that's the kind of attitude we have. Service above self. Let's talk about that.
Well, first of all, thank you for comparing me in any way, shape, or form to Stephen Covey, because he's amazing. I love those kind of principles, because And I heard a mentor of mine back in, I think 1989 said, in order to win, you need to capture people's minds and their hearts.
That's right.
To pay them well and to give them a nice company and career captures their minds.
Right.
To treat them well and have them want to win with you and for you, and
Yeah.
as a result of you, captures their hearts. And let me tell you, the companies that and the people that have the opportunity to capture people's minds and their hearts win.
Right.
They're going to win.
Right. Right.
And I think that if you can translate that over, you don't have to take it to the extreme and be crazy about it. What you have to do is you have to think about that golden rule and say, if I was that person, what would I want?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fantastic.
You know, it appears that if someone operates in that mindset, being nice, they don't win. But if you stick around, they gonna finish the line.
They are. Now, I'll put one factor on top of that. They need to be an A-plus player. You can't have a poor performer that's nice and expect them to deliver great results.
That's
but
right.
if you have great performers and you choose the ones that are nice, because they could be either, then you've got a formula for success. You've got A-plus plus nice. They treat people well, customers see it, employees see it, and then here's what I say, it spirals upward. Businesses can spiral downward with culture and results. They can also spiral upward. You all of a sudden put in place an organization that feels that positive mojo. Mm-hmm. They like that you've captured their minds and their hearts, you're treating them well, there's servant leadership principles. All of a sudden, good things start happening.
That's right. Service above self.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this, Harry. Have you ever developed the talent in an individual? Or did you help bring it out?
Wow. I like how you worded the end of that because it challenged me a little more. Develop, yes. Bring out, yes. Bring out is the one that's the more obvious one and that's easier to say. Because if you see someone that has skills and they haven't had the confidence, the experience, or even the environment to have it come out, and you can create that environment, it comes out, and that's just fun to see it, because then they start blossoming and producing. Develop it. I would say yes. I don't believe you develop leadership, though.
That's right.
I think you develop a number of skills that make you a better leader. Skills could be communication, it could be empathy, it could be problem solving. There's a lot of skills you can create to make a leader. And so what I've always focused on is trying to figure out the people that I would say at their core, I see something that says this person can be an unbelievable leader. And then I try to look at the skills that they have that I believe, if brought out, can make them a better leader.
Empathy. You talked about empathy.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Hugely important to me. We didn't talk about that downstairs when we were together earlier, but I'll just say it now. It's hard for me to imagine that you can be a great leader unless you have empathy. Empathy, to me, not gone overboard, but is a critical skill, enables you to think about what's happening to the other person. So it can be translated as, I run a business, I'm thinking about my customers, how my products are interacting with them, making them feel, making them more productive, or solving their problem. It can be my employees. I've done something to my employees and I don't care that they are unhappy, they might leave, or it makes them mad. That's bad. I might have to do it anyway, but the idea that I have the empathy at least makes me say, it's not going to go over well with my employees, but I have to do it. If you have that empathy, I believe then you can explain it, you can move on and deal with it. If you don't have empathy, I believe as a person and as a successful business person, you're going to not win as much.
Right, right. Because people want to be heard.
Yes, yes.
And they want to be paid attention to when they want you to hear what they're saying.
You know, yes. We didn't talk about this either, but I have an interesting philosophy about human nature. I have the 98-2 rule.
Okay.
I am convinced that if you create the right environment and give people purpose and direction, but you give them the chance to vent in appropriate ways and be listened to, the ability to provide ideas productively that are listened to, and you treat them like adults, 98% of all people will be solid to great employees. Not everybody's going to be fantastic, but they'll be solid. 2% of the people, no, that's fine. They might be cheaters, they might be lazy, that's fine. 98% of them in that kind of environment will win. So if you're a leader or a business owner and you can create that kind of environment, upside. Huge.
You know, before we wrap this up, on your book, you talk about a practical approach that delivers relationship, respect, and results.
Yes.
Hit us with that. Relationship, respect, and results.
That's the trifecta to me. Too many people pay too much attention to results. Results are a byproduct to me. Relationships have to do with your relationship with your employees, with your peers, with your direct reports, or even with your customers, right? Respect has to do with how people see you as a person and as a leader, and I think that will come back to whether they will follow you. And in order to have a successful company or a successful business or have a successful life you have to have that kind of respect. And if you can get those relationships and that respect right, I think the results follow. I think too many people are like a football coach that stands on the sidelines and points at the scoreboard and says, we're down 21-7. And the quarterback says, I got it. And the coach says, we're down 21-7. And the quarterback says, okay, coach, we have the ball. If we drive down and score, hold them and score again, it'll be 21-all. Could we not worry about the fact that we're down 21-7 right now? Let's try to figure out how we're going to score this time, and we got a chance to win. Let's let the results play out with regard to the relationships and respect we have, and the execution. The results will follow.
Man, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Thank you.
Parting words. You know, we are moving into the twilight years of our life. And
I'm sorry for you.
I feel sorry for myself sometimes too. But you know what? I feel good though. I feel good. I believe in Proverbs 4:23. Keep all diligence in thy heart, because that's where all the issues of life lie. I believe that. Now, we got a lot of young people out there, athletes. We got a lot of athletes to watch our program. And I think that sometimes if we could just give them a good word about leadership, leadership and character. So I want you to part us out with that a good word about leadership for our young folks.
Okay, I'd love to do that. I'm going to go back to my 2 principles, and I think it applies to everybody. I speak quite a bit at high schools in the Kansas City area, particularly to juniors and seniors, not only athletes, but people that have succeeded in other areas, whether it's arts or debate. Here's what I say. I'm going to go back to saying this. Anybody can be a leader. I don't care whether it's an elected position. I don't care if 73 people work for you or 0. Leadership is about influence and impact in a positive way. Influence and impact. Critically important. If you can have influence and impact, you are a leader. I don't care whether you are elected, whether you have nobody in your group, whether you have 1 million people that work for you. You are a leader. That's number 1. Number 2, it goes back to you don't have to make the trade-off. You do not have to treat people poorly. You do not have to be ego-driven, and you do not have to have the mentality that I'm in charge and I know best. What you can do is you can have relationships and respect, and you can drive results. If you remember that anybody can be a leader, and you don't have to make that trade-off, you can have it all, I think you have a chance to be wildly successful.
Harry S. Campbell. Now tell us about one of your pride projects that you're working with.
Actually, the thing I get my most sense of purpose out of is raising money for brain cancer research. There's a great not-for-profit in Kansas City called Head for the Cure. It's at 2020 Baltimore, right in downtown Kansas City. We, this year, raised over $800,000 for brain cancer research around the United States. And my family has been affected by this ugly disease, and I would love to help eradicate it. So I give the gross speaking fees when I'm hired to do a keynote on leadership to Head for the Cure, and I give 100% of the royalties from my book to Head for the Cure. So all of the money that I get from speaking and book writing, 100% of it goes to that charity. And so I have such fun doing it. I'm passionate. I want to impact the people I talk to. I want to change their lives, but also I want to raise money for good. And in the last 20 months, since I wrote my book and started doing this for charity, I raised $83,000 for Head for the Cure.
That's phenomenal.
Thank you.
You know what? Harry S. Campbell, we heard it best down here on the Vine. You know, this is a very historic area, so you can put this in your memoirs of being down here. And then we got Mr. Carlos Nelson there behind the camera. What's up, Kansas City? And he's doing a great job here, and I know he appreciates you speaking with us today. But you know, this Vine Street thing always had a little flair to it. You know, everybody would be clean and everything. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a proud pleasure to be with Harry S. Campbell today and down here on the Vine Street. which was a very classical and very documented environment. But there was always one thing I liked. To look sharp is to be sharp, and what's up, Kansas City? Thank you.
If you find yourself in need of a criminal defense, personal injury, or immigration lawyer, then call the Service Law Offices of Kansas City.
You'll get the experience of an attorney who understands your need for aggressive representation. Consultations are free, so call today.
Sooner or later, you'll need service.